Hello, Spooklings.
I'm Jason,
And I'm Kathy.
and we're the hosts of the weekly podcast, All Hallows Eve Podcast.
We are a husband and wife duo with a passion for anything spooky, macabre, and true crime, sprinkled with our own twist of comedy.
We explore topics such as the history of Halloween, the Butcher of Plainfield, Hocus Pocus 2, urban legends, superstitions, and more.
So come join us as we go down the rabbit hole that is All Hallows Eve Podcast.
Listen and follow us at allhallowsevepodcast.com or your favorite podcast provider.
Stay spooky, my friends.
All right.
Yeah, I'm ready to get started when you are.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 95 of Films and Fermentation. That's right. We are Films and Fermentation, a movie and alcohol podcast. I'm Leo.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Mike.
We're three friends who like to talk shit about movies while getting shit-faced. In this episode, we are going to look at the career of another legendary actor. In this case, it's the career of the one and only Morgan Freeman.
Just listen to that rich molasses.
We sat and drank with the sun on our shoulders and felt like free men. Hell, we could have been tarring the roof of one of our own houses. We were the lords of all creation. As for Andy, he spent that break hunkered in the shade, a strange little smile on his face, watching us drink his beer.
Forgiveness starts here, too. Forgiveness liberates the soul. It removes fear. That is why it is such a powerful weapon.
Decency. And decency is not a deal. It isn't an angle or a contract or a hustle. Decency is what your grandmother taught you. It's in your bones. Now you go home. Go home and be decent people. Be decent.
Maybe I'm in the wrong line of work. Maybe I should take on something less challenging.
You do what you are, Jesse.
You mean you are what you do?
No, I mean, you do what you are. You're born with a gift. If not that, then you get good at something along the way. And what you're good at, you don't take for granted. You don't betray it.
What if you do betray your gift?
And you betray yourself. That's a sad thing.
Parting your soup is not a miracle, Bruce. It's a magic trick. A single mom who's working 2 jobs and still finds time to take her kid to soccer practice, that's a miracle. A teenager who says no to drugs and yes to an education, that's a miracle. People want me to do everything for them, when what they don't realize is they have the power. You want to see a miracle, son? Be the miracle. Ernest Hemingway once wrote, "The world is a fine place and worth fighting for." I agree with the second part.
Don't forget to drop us an email at filmsandfermentation@gmail.com or visit linktree.com/filmsandfermentation to find all of our social media and podcast links. You can also find links to Patreon and Teespring, where you can buy some of our merchandise, help support the show. This episode, as always, is brought to you by Newsly. This episode of Films and Fermentation is brought to you by Newsly. Newsly is an all-in-one audio super app for iOS and Android. It picks the most trending articles on the web on topics you choose at any given moment and reads them to you in a natural human voice. For the first time ever, the entire web becomes listenable, all in one place. Browse articles from any topic you choose, in sports, technology, business, science, even Bitcoin. It will find you the latest articles and read them to you aloud. The entire web now becomes listenable, all in one place. They also have podcasts. Explore trending podcasts from over 80 countries. Our podcast, Films and Fermentation, is located there as well. We actually started using it recently as our own default podcast app. They even have digital radio. So download and use Newsly for free now from www.newsly.me or from the link provided in the description of this episode. And if you use the promo code ANDFERMENT, that's ANDFERMENT, you can get a 1-month free premium subscription. So download Newsly now. Stop scrolling. Start listening. So now that we have that out of the way, gentlemen, what are we drinking this evening? Hey, Lucius Fox, why don't you go first?
Well, I gathered with friends of mine this weekend. Oh, look, they're here. And one of them, Mighty Mike, was kind enough to provide me with a couple 6-packs of fine beer, and I thought I'd take the two most difficult ones to say, and try to recite them in my best Morgan Freeman voice. So this is Spaten Optimoda, which is a Doppelbock. It is 7.6% alcohol by volume, and it is a malt liquor from Munich, Germany. And that's what I'm going to be starting with tonight, gentlemen. And then as I polish that off, I'm going to move over to this Franziskaner Weiss beer, which is a premium Weiss beer with Naturtrub. And it's also from Munich since 1363 BC. And it's got sediment, so you know it's good. It's got good stuff. And this is 5%
sell-by date.
So yes. So thank you, Michael.
You're welcome, sir.
The German beer pack, Mike has given me a similar pack as well. Mike, what are you drinking?
Well, today was another one of those days I had to go give a pint of blood. So I was thinking that I was going to do the Andy Dufresne and watch you guys drink my beer, but I decided to go with the Spaten Oktoberfest. I'll be sipping it tonight, so it's probably all I'm going to get to.
Welcome to ice cold Bohemian style beer.
Yeah.
Now I thought of drinking a beer tonight too because of the Shawshank reference, but instead I went for a themed mixed drink that I found online, and I've been sipping it a little bit since we started. It's pretty tasty. So it's coffee liqueur, Irish cream, and rum in a shaker, shaken over ice, poured into the glass to make this nice creamy-looking mixture. And according to the website, it's called the Captain Morgan Freeman.
Oh, I like it.
And it is very, very tasty.
Nice.
So usually not a big rum guy, but this is
rum, chocolate liqueur, and
coffee liqueur, Irish cream, and rum.
I can make that.
Yeah, so I think it's enough. I think the coffee liqueur and the Irish cream are enough to kind of balance out the taste of the rum for me because I'm not a big rum guy. So it's like 1 part coffee liqueur, 1 part Irish cream, and then 2 shots of rum.
Okay.
I did go a little heavier on the coffee liqueur though, because I like coffee liqueur, so that's probably why. It's not
Kahlua.
as, all right, Mike. Anything interesting happening historically this week?
This day in film history. In 1996, Train Spotting, directed by Danny Boyle, based on the book by Irvin Welsh, starring Ian McGregor and Robert Carlyle, Carvel, and Johnny Lee Miller, opens in cinemas in the UK and Ireland.
It's funny. I just watched this movie again recently too. I heard there was another podcast that was covering the career of Danny Boyle, and so they happened to talk about this film on one of their episodes. And I forgot how much I like this movie, and it's been a while since I've seen it. And I remember talking about it a little bit during the jump scare episode, so I rewatched it. And it's the first movie I've ever seen Ewan McGregor in, and he's fucking amazing in it. Robert Carlyle is crazy in this because he plays a psychopath in this film and then plays like the nicest guy in the world in the Full Monty in the same year. Johnny Lee Miller would go on to play Sherlock Holmes on the modern day Sherlock Holmes TV series with Lucy Liu.
Mm-hmm.
And
he was also in that stellar award-winning movie Hackers.
Yes, with Angelina Jolie. And it's also the film debut of Kelly MacDonald, who would go on to star in Boardwalk Empire opposite Steve Buscemi and be the voice of Merida in Brave. And she plays Ewan McGregor's very, very much underage girlfriend in the film. And she's incredible in it, and it's such a frenetic movie, man. I forgot how insanely like quick it is. Like there's so much packed into it, and the movie is only 90 minutes long. You know, it's awesome film, Train Spotting. What else we got going on here?
Well, according to the calendar for this week, we had February 18th was National Drink Wine Day,
which is every day for my wife.
And February 22nd, which was Saturday that is past, was National Margarita Day. So we should have margaritas where we were.
Yeah, I was thinking about that today, leaving work. I thought I could use a margarita.
We could have been drinking margaritas while doing D&D.
Yeah, we should have.
It would have been a really interesting session we had that day. It was already a session that was a little off the rails. Do you have a must-try beer or craft destination for us this evening, sir?
Today I have a beer destination for you from Alabama. It's Good People, Alabama.
All right.
Good People Brewing Company, 114 14th Street South, Birmingham. Alabama's largest and oldest craft brewery was founded in 2008 by Auburn University alumni Michael Sellers and Jason Malone. The former home brewers have expanded operations year after year and now have 4 locations in Birmingham, with 2 more opening soon. Stop by their 14th Street South Tap location for a tour and a taste of their pale ale or their old school Snake Handler Double IPA.
I would love to go to a place called Good People Brewing. It just sounds like a friendly joint.
Yeah, where everybody knows your name, and
I'm looking at I'm looking at their beer lineup now, and you said they have an IPA. They have a double IPA called Snake Handler. They have a coffee oatmeal stout, brown ale. They have a Mexican lager called Muchacho. A wheat beer called the Bearded Lady. They have an American IPA called the Hitchhiker. They have a rye beer called Mumbai Rye. Urban Farmer, Hazy Snake, El Gordo Stout. They have a winter ale called the Denim Downhiller. And an Imperial Double Stout called Fatso. As well as an Oktoberfest, peanut butter chocolate coffee, bunch of they have a lot of really cool looking. We might have to take a road trip to Bama. Just to get some of these beers. Or at least a road trip to the beer distributor to see if they have anything in stock. All right. Notes from the last show. Our notes from the last show are brought to you by Zubby All Natural Energy Drink, the perfect drink for gamers because it doesn't leave you with the jitters. If you'd like to know more about Dubby Natural Energy Drink, go to dubby.gg today and use the promo code FILMSForMent to get 10% off your order every time. Dubby, be better. So, .com, .gg. Fuck. Synopsis according to Glip, as always from last week. The participants spoke about thick Irish accents, chatbox, big fans of the show, twin films for The Matrix, more chlamydia than Master Yoda, and the existence of movies.
Where is the existence of movies at?
I think it's Existence, the movie that Kevin likes with Jude Law.
Yeah.
But it took it as the existence of movies. It's almost like we spent the show trying to prove that movies are actually real. I like that we got Yoda's chlamydia in there too. That was one of the better Glip synopses that we've had so far. I can't get enough of that clip of us talking about Jedi chlamydia. It was so funny that I started a Films and Fermentation TikTok channel and Reels channel and took that clip and just cut out that particular clip and turned it into a reel and a TikTok video.
Dude, I'm gonna be famous, huh?
Yeah, I'm hoping to get some followers now via TikTok and Reels because
my father, who hasn't
chlamydia.
listened to the podcast because he doesn't listen to podcasts, actually caught that news. Sounds like you guys are having a good time. I might need to check that out. I was like, oh.
Hey,
Yeah, you're not gonna, but that's
there is a method to my madness. I saw Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania this week.
Ooh. Yay?
Hint,
Nay.
wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You don't have to pay to see.
Nice.
So I watched it on Monday because I was home, and it was let's say how could I put this? It was a movie.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Start.
It was 2 hours and 10 minutes, so little
Not the worst.
lengthy, not as lengthy as some. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would say the first Ant-Man was the best of the three films.
Mm-hmm.
The second Ant-Man was an okay film, but was more or less a palate cleanser between Infinity War and Endgame.
Mm-hmm.
This one was better than the second one, not as good as the first. It was mainly there to introduce us to another variation of Kang.
Okay.
So you got the good guy version of Kang at the end of Loki, where you meet he who's at the end of the universe, or whatever the hell his name is called. What name was?
Right.
Yeah. He
Him and
he
he
who
at the
is,
end of time, or something like
yeah.
that. And then in this one, you get the actual like villain Kang character. Now, I don't know much about the actor playing him, Jonathan Majors, but he's awesome. He's phenomenal. He's really, really good as Kang, and it's cool because it unlike the Thanos character, which was a great character, but you had to have Josh Brolin like basically wearing a green screen suit and a giant,
He was Grimace.
cardboard head on top of him to make everybody know where Thanos' eyes are. Kang is a guy, so Jonathan Majors is actually on screen with everybody, which makes it a little more like realistic, I think.
Yeah.
He has a very comic book accurate costume, which is really cool. And the guy playing him he steals the show.
He's got a lot coming up too. He's going to be in Creed 3 next month. Yeah, I think this is kind of like his breakout moment.
Yeah, like I'm not sure like what he did before. I think he was in like a TV show, I want to say. Oh, he was on Lovecraft Country, which was like an HBO Max show or something.
Yeah, based off of yeah.
HP Lovecraft.
Yeah, and then but that was like it. Like most of what he did before that is nothing that I've really heard of. But he did that, and then he appeared in Loki as Kang. He Who Remains, that was the guy's name.
He Who Remains.
And then and now it's like blowing up for him, man. Like he's like the next big thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you see him in this movie, like he really sells it, and you get to see him now in a number of other films since he's a major part of Phase 5. Paul Rudd is like Deadpool light in the film.
Okay.
He narrates it a little bit, which gives it that sort of Deadpool feel, but it's like the Disney Plus version of Deadpool, so it's clean.
Well, it's Ant-Man too. So
The actress that they got to play his daughter Cassie, Catherine Newton. She's another one who's kind of like up and coming. She was on Supernatural, Mike. She was Castiel's daughter.
okay.
Yeah, so she's somebody who's been in TV a lot and now is doing a lot more movies. I don't know if they needed to replace the actress who played his daughter before.
The one that was in
The one that was in
Endgame.
Endgame, because they're relatively
Okay.
the same age. So I mean, you could have kept the other actress, but
And I think that was talked about, like, why didn't they keep her?
I think it was
okay.
more like just trying to put somebody who has a name in there now.
hmm
But I'll tell you who had the biggest role in the film, more of a role than I anticipated, but it makes sense when you figure she was stuck in the quantum realm for 30 years.
Michelle
Pfeiffer
Pfeiffer.
has
Michelle
a
Pfeiffer.
really big role in the film. And
was-
there's a very interesting cameo from Bill Murray.
Oh.
He
That
plays
got dropped a little bit.
Yeah,
but
he
go
plays
ahead.
a quantum realm character that she's had previous dealings with.
Okay.
And also, they introduced another villain character in it. I'm not going to spoil who it is because it's a really fun one.
Is it MODOK?
If you want me to spoil it for you, yeah, it's
Oh,
MODOK.
okay.
But it's interesting how they
How they got MODOK into it?
handle MODOK in the film. It's not the
Manhandle
MODOK. It's not like the comic book accurate MODOK, so it's kind of funny.
Oh,
It's
okay.
really good. Yeah. A guy that I work with at school, who I talk to about like movies and stuff all the time, recommended a Netflix docu-series to me, and I haven't watched it yet, but I want to check it out because he says if you like the movies that made us and the toys that made us docu-series that they've done, this one should be cool too. It's called Checkpoint. It's a 6-part docu-series about the history of video games, starting with the Commodore and Atari, all the way up to the birth of PlayStation and Xbox.
Oh, wow.
So it sounds like a really cool docu-series on Netflix that I want to check out. And lastly, if you are looking for another podcast to listen to, a very entertaining one, if you're into a freakishly good time with stories about ghosts and ghouls and urban legends and other creepy stuff, check out the All Hallows Eve podcast. In fact, we are going to be teaming up with them in the end of March to do a show together. They are currently doing a March Madness horror movie tournament. You can visit their website at allhallowseve.com or their Facebook page to see the bracket and vote on the tournament. And then whatever film wins their bracket, we are going to be guests on their show at the end of March to discuss the film, the horror film that wins their tournament. So they are a great show. We get along really well with them. We've been kind of talking to them on and off. They've been promoting us a lot on their show. They're Jason and Kathy. They're good people. So check out their program, All Hallows Eve. And then make sure you check them out at the end of March when we guest on their show as the movie experts that we pretend to be.
It's a crossover episode. It's a crossover episode.
We're going to call it All Hallows Fermentation.
So what we're gonna be is we're gonna be the movie spooklings for them.
Yes, we're the movie spooklings, and they'll be the main spooklings. And to all the other spooklings out there, stay spooky, my friends. So I didn't do a hypothetical question tonight because it's going to be part of our main segment, which is going to be about the career of Morgan Freeman. We'll be back with the main segment after a word from these other friends of ours, Today We Laughed and Learned podcast and the Fandalorians. We'll be back after this short commercial break.
Hi, I'm Chris.
And I'm Deb.
And we host a pretty fun podcast called Today We Laughed and Learned. You know, this is where we discuss all the things we should have learned, but, well, never did. And we have quite a few laughs along the way.
Today We Laughed and Learned with Chris and Deb.
We're curious about everything. Experts on nothing.
Come find us wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello, everybody. Let me ask you a question. When you were a kid, did you ever wonder what teachers talked about in the teacher's lounge?
You probably didn't miss much. It's usually boring stuff like grading papers, lesson planning, and then figuring out the new train schedule.
Train schedule?
Well, I teach in the city.
But sometimes, at one of the not-so-cool tables in the back of the teacher's lounge, you might find us, the Fandalorians, teachers by day, nerds by night.
My name is Mr. Richardson, and by day, Mr. McDonald, Mr. G, and I teach and inspire America's youth.
But by night, we debate, discuss, and argue about all things in the pop culture universe on our podcast.
We discuss all the biggest pop culture topics in the world, like Ozark, Stranger Things, The Marvelous Miss Maisel, Marvel, Star Wars, Top Gun Maverick, The Old Man, Bridgerton, you name it, we'll probably discuss it.
You guys watch Bridgerton?
Yo, season 1 of Bridgerton was awesome. You don't know what you're missing. Since we are teachers, you will always get a ton of background information about our topics and original teacher-themed segments, like our pop culture morning announcements, building meetings, and post-observation reviews of shows and movies. Oh, and arguing. You'll get lots of disagreements and arguing, like way more than I'm comfortable with.
You can find us wherever you listen to your podcasts. Just search for The Fandalorians, Teachers by Day, Nerds by Night.
Then join us every Monday as we look into the current state of fandom and pop culture.
Hey, look, the bell's about to ring. We need to head to the buses. Hopefully we'll see you guys soon.
Well, I mean, they're not going to see us because this is a podcast.
I know.
But they can't even see us when you think about it, so they won't see us either.
Oh my God, you know what I meant. It wasn't literal. Just ring the bell. Ring the bell.
The Fandalorians, Teachers by Day, Nerds by Night. I hope you listen and subscribe to us soon.
I hate you guys.
Sounds good.
He never turned it on. He never turned it on.
No,
we got
it's
to
back
start
on.
all
We have
over
we
again.
have 34 minutes recorded so far, so we're good.
Okay. It's just I've drank so much water, it's coming out clear, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't need to share all of your piss testimonials, so I figured I'd pause it for a minute.
That's right. If he still had the microphone on, it would be like that scene from The Naked Gun where Frank Drebin goes into the bathroom while he still has the microphone on him. Whoops.
I was thinking of this scene in oh my God, what was it? The Muppets Caper, Great Muppets Caper.
Yeah,
they're in London and they're stealing the diamond or whatever. And there's a scene where all the Muppets are together and they're all arguing and yelling and stuff. And Kermit's like, "Everybody stop!" And as everybody stops talking, the other female puppet, Janet, I think her name is, Janice, goes, "I was on the beach nude," like in the middle of like it's like the and I'm like,
and if
wait,
I want to,
if I want to sunbathe,
if I want to sunbathe on the beach nude, that's my prerogative. And they all
and I'm
look
like,
at her.
You know, like, hey, you're a puppet. Like it's weird, man. And I think that is where the idea came for the Happy Time Murders, which is a really messed up movie. All right, folks, we are back from our little commercial break with our main segment. This is episode 95, the life, or not really the life, the career of Morgan Freeman.
Let's not kill him yet, guys.
Yeah, we didn't kill him yet. So legendary, he's a legendary actor, legendary voice, best known probably for his amazing narrations. But there is more to his career than that. He's an Oscar winner. He even directed a few films in his career. So we're going to take a look back at his IMDb page and take a look at just his acting credits. Not going to look at anything else like producer, director, or anything. Just acting. His career began all the way back in 1964, where between 1964 and 1968, he did a number of uncredited TV appearances. And they don't look like they were anything, special. Probably like kind of extras. So you got one that says "Man on the Street."
Party guest.
Yeah, party guest. Grand Central Commuter in the movie "Where Were You When the Lights Went Out?" New York Television Theater. He did one episode of that. TV movie called "Caught in the Middle" in 1970. In 1971, he did a film called Who Says I Can't Ride a Rainbow, where he plays a character named Afro. Something tells me that's only something that would fly in a 1970 film.
Exactly.
In a movie called Blade, not the one with Wesley Snipes, in 1973, he played a character named Chris. It wasn't until 1974 when he made an appearance,
Actually,
or I'm sorry, 1971, when he started his career on a little PBS television series called The Electric Company.
I remember that show.
He played multiple characters on that show, including Count Dracula, the Easy Reader, which was like an Easy Rider character who did vocabulary words, the Mad Scientist, and a number of other characters. He was on that show from 1971 to 1977. All told, he did 780 episodes.
Yeah.
That's pretty friggin' crazy.
Mhm.
That's
I remember the Count Dracula character. He was taking the bath in his bubble bath.
Yeah, I remember Easy Reader. Yeah, the Electric Company was like it was like you watch Sesame Street, and then you had to tolerate the Electric Company before Mr. Rogers came on.
Pretty much.
In 1978, he did a TV movie called Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry. Visions in 1978, another TV show, Hollow Image. Then he did a couple Shakespeare films, Coriolanus and Julius Caesar in 1979. In 1980, a TV movie called Attica. And then throughout the early 80s, he did a bunch of like shows and movies, nothing like major. Ryan's Hope, Eyewitness, Brubaker, Texas, The Marva Collins Story, Death of a Prophet. He did Another World in 1983, which was a TV series. He did 8 episodes on that. Harry and Son in 1984. And then in 1984, he did a movie that I've talked about before, and I recommend it especially to Kevin since he and I are teachers. It's a movie called Teachers.
Teachers.
It's a really strange film. It's about a public school. Stars Nick Nolte as one of the teachers. Ralph Macchio's in it as a student. It's one where I talked about before where the guy is coming in as a substitute history teacher, and he's the best teacher in the building. And then you find out at the end that he's an escaped mental patient. And they come pick him up from the school and take him back to the hospital. He was the best teacher they had. I think Morgan Freeman plays... I think he might play like one of the assistant principals or something in the film. I don't remember his role. It wasn't a big role.
But it's getting him ready for another role down the line.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a good movie. It's one I would check out, especially if you're a teacher. The Atlanta Child Murders, 1985, which is a TV miniseries based on a real event. They actually covered it in the TV show Mindhunter on Netflix, The Atlanta Child Murders. Marie in 1985. In 1985, he also did the sequel to The Outsiders. That was Then, This Is Now, based on the novel by S.E. Hinton. Another series called Great Performances. He did the revival of the Twilight Zone TV series in 1985. It wasn't until, I'm going to skip a few of these because some of these are lesser known. It wasn't until 1987 he did a movie called Street Smart, where he plays a character named Fast Black. It's the first movie that kind of got his name out there because he was nominated for this film for Best Supporting Actor. And it was sort of after that where it started to kind of pick up for him, because then he did Fight for Your Life, Blood Money. Then he did Clean and Sober with Michael Keaton in 1988, before playing Principal Joe Clark in 1989 in the film Lean on Me. And that is
probably his breakout role.
That is, I would say, is definitely his breakout role. It's the one that most people from, like, at least back then would have known him from. Has that infamous scene in it where he's walking around with the baseball bat and the megaphone, and his he has the line, "People used to call me Mr. Clark. Now they call me Batman." Then he did Johnny Handsome, and then in 1989, the phenomenon Driving Miss Daisy came out.
Yeah, he should have won that one.
Where he plays Hoke Colburn. I think he was nominated for this as well for Best Supporting Actor. A movie
best actor in a leading role.
Yeah, a movie that did surprisingly well in the box office that nobody kind of expected. and then went on to get a number of Oscar nominations. I think Jessica Tandy, who plays Miss Daisy, won the Oscar for Best Actress for that film.
Well, it didn't hurt that she didn't turn down that Playboy spread that she
Yeah.
was offered after the movie came out. You know,
What was that?
God.
What was that one called?
that was still Driving Miss Daisy.
That was the Driving Miss Daisy. It was the gray hairs and wrinkle episode.
You called me.
They called it Photographing Miss Daisy.
That is not bringing the pretty, Kevin. That is not bringing the pretty.
Oh, you guys all got that mental image. You're good.
Yeah. Speaking of chlamydia, so we're gonna move on. Oh, my microphone fell apart again. So much trouble with this goddamn microphone. Pardon me while I whip this out. So,
just imagine, can we remake Blazing Saddles with Morgan Freeman as the sheriff?
Not now, not ever, really. So yeah, he does Driving Miss Daisy in 1989, and then that leads to another film in 1989 that's one of my favorite movies. It's one of my favorite performances by him. A phenomenal film. The movie is Glory.
Oh yeah,
Glory, yeah. That pretty much brought in,
this was Denzel. This was
Denzel's breakout role.
Right. This was Matthew Broderick breaking out from the kid roles.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Carrie Elway, Andre
Brower, yeah.
Brower, right?
He would go on to have a pretty long running TV career.
Yeah. I mean, this is a great Civil War story. That's
Mm-hmm.
the side of the Civil War that wasn't told.
So yeah, like Mike said, it's a breakout movie for Denzel. He won the Oscar for that for Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah.
It's a first movie that I hadn't seen Driving Miss Daisy until after I'd seen Glory. So Glory was kind of my first experience with Morgan Freeman. I was actually funny like Matthew Broderick. I wasn't too surprised to see him in this because I know he had done theater and was trying to break that mold a little bit. I was more surprised to see Carrie Elways in this. Because up until then, I only knew Carrie Elways as Wesley.
Wesley.
But this is, if you haven't seen Glory, you should see Glory.
Yeah,
an amazing
I highly recommend that movie. Yes,
it's one of the first movies to kind of leave me thinking about it afterwards. Especially that final scene where Matthew Broderick and Denzel are thrown into the the mass grave together and all that.
The mass grave.
Great movie. Then he did the Earth Day special in 1990. He did another Civil War film in 1990 called The Civil War.
I think this was the PBS miniseries.
It was a PBS miniseries.
Ken Burns. Yeah. I think it was the Ken Burns movie. Yeah,
he plays Frederick Douglass in that film.
Mm-hmm.
Then he was in 1990 The Bonfire of the Vanities, which was a flop of a movie. It was Tom Hanks, Bruce Willis. I can't think of the actress who was in the film. Melanie Griffith. Yeah. So this was a movie based on a novel that a lot of people considered an unfilmable book, and they were probably right.
Concerning the actors they had in that, and it still flop. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it flopped, and you're talking about a stacked cast: Tom Hanks, Bruce Willis, Melanie Griffith, Kim Cattrall, Morgan Freeman, and the movie still bombed.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't hurt him too much. It was more of a stopgap in the career for Bruce Willis and Tom Hanks than anything else. They both recovered from it, but it took a little while. The next big film that he was in 1991 was Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Kind of the first time we had to see him in a little bit of an action role.
Right.
What are your thoughts on this film?
I think when it came out at the time, it was fun,
Mm-hmm.
But you don't you just like it for it being fun, and then when you watch it again, it's like, oh, not really that good, is it?
Number one, it wasn't terrible. The movie, it rode on Kevin Costner's. He was on his high, so it rode his coattails. But then you've got the sheriff.
Well,
Alan
that's
Rickman.
true. That was a introduction to Alan Rickman, other than obviously Die Hard, but this was something a little different. This is what I remember when I think of Alan Rickman, and one of the first movies that comes to my mind. It's not Die Hard. It's this one.
Now I think of
Because he
like
did such a good
when
job.
I think of Morgan Freeman in this film, I think like I really liked him in it. I liked the character he
Mhm.
played. I thought he and Costner had a pretty good, back and forth together repertoire.
Mhm.
It's the first time though I remember watching a movie thinking that they squeezed the character in for the sake of having some diversity in the film.
Mm.
Because I don't know how true it would have been to have a Muslim character in England in the 1100s
Right.
when they were at war with the Muslims.
And of course, everybody was shocked when fuck me, he cleared it.
Yeah. That being said, he was probably one of the better parts of the film, so I'm glad he was in it.
No shit.
I rewatched this back in the summertime because I saw it. I think it was on Prime, and I said, just for shits and giggles, I'm going to watch this because I hadn't watched it since Christ, I was a kid, probably.
Mhm.
And I was like, I remember watching it. I remember thinking, oh, it's a fun movie. I like this movie. My dad liked it, so he and I used to watch it a lot together. And then I
Mhm.
watched it again this summer, and I was like, man,
This is bad.
does Kevin Costner have an accent? Does he not have an accent? Is he trying to do an
Yeah.
accent?
He started with an accent, then he quit with the
And
accent.
I was like, thank God for Morgan Freeman and Alan Rickman, because otherwise this would be unwatchable.
Yeah.
Then he does the True Story of Glory, which is a sort of like a behind the scenes like history documentary about the film that he made. He's the narrator, of course. This is actually his first job as a narrator. He then does narration for a TV movie called The Savior is Born, The Power of One in 1992. In 1992, he does another movie that's another one of my all-time favorites. Another great role. Another like really spectacular film, and that's Unforgiven.
That's a spectacular cast.
Starring and directed by Clint
Yeah.
Eastwood, co-starring Morgan Freeman, Gene Hackman,
Richard
Richard Harris, Saul Rubinek. I mean, it's. I love this movie. It's such a.
Wait, did you say Pee Wee Herman was in this?
Yes, Pee Wee Herman, Saul Rubinek.
No, you said. Oh, I thought you said Paul Rubin.
No, Saul Rubinek.
All right.
Saul Rubinek plays the writer who follows the sheriff around. So yeah, it's a great movie. He plays a great role in it. I love the scene where they're trying to shoot the guy and he like all of a sudden can't do it. He freezes on that moment. And, Clint Eastwood has to take the gun from him. What are you gonna say, Mike? Okay, you had something you want to say?
No, I'm good.
Is this a film that you appreciate?
Oh yeah, I quite enjoy the movie.
As a man who likes westerns. He gets done dirty in that film, though, Morgan Freeman. Not going to spoil it for anybody who didn't see it. See Unforgiven. It's a great film, but please know that Morgan Freeman gets done dirty in that film.
What the hell is that?
Yeah. Then he does Rabbit Ears Following the Drinking Gourd, where he's the narrator. That's a straight-to-video film. I'm guessing that's like a children's film.
Probably.
And then in 1994, he does this little movie that doesn't do well at first, but then becomes a cult following, and then the #1 movie on IMDb for like the last 20 years.
Which movie could this be that you speak of? Oh.
And which he was nominated for.
He was nominated for Best Actor. This actually made me think of another category for a different show. Movies that aren't about the character you think they're about.
Okay.
So when you watch Shawshank, you think you're following the story of Andy Dufresne, but really you're following Red's story.
You are, yeah.
And you're seeing Andy Dufresne through Red's eyes, which kind of explains why he gets the Best Actor nomination for this and not Supporting Actor.
Mm-hmm.
And there are other movies that I had thought of when I came up with that idea, but we'll talk about that at a different time. But that's a category I thought of after rewatching Shawshank for the 982nd time.
Is that because you missed something?
Yeah, I rewatched it just last night, just to get a feel for the show. Get myself back into the Morgan Freeman mood. Plus, Shawshank Redemption is my all-time favorite film, so I never need an excuse to watch it anyway. I love his line in the film where they're talking about the books when they're starting the library, and the one guy's like, Count the Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas. and he's like, Dumas. You know what that book's about? It's about a prison break. You'd like it. And then Morgan Freeman goes, we ought to follow that under educational too, aren't we? I love that line. And the line, I miss my friend Andy, but then I have to remind myself that some birds were meant to fly. Yeah. They weren't meant to be in cages. They were meant to fly. Great fucking movie, man. 1995, he does another film that I feel like's kind of been forgotten over the years, but was actually a pretty decent film, Outbreak.
I just watched this the other day with Megan.
Really?
And I was like, yeah. I was like, had you seen this? She goes, I don't think so. Really good movie.
I thought this movie had more potential than what it actually came out with. It was not as good as I thought it was going to be.
I thought it was better than I expected.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't expect much from it.
Well, with all the actors they had in it, I expected a lot better movie, a better plot.
Dustin Hoffman, Morgan Freeman, Kevin Spacey,
Donald Sutherland, Rene Russo, Cuba Gooding Jr.
They did another movie years later, like in the 2000s, actually, called Contagion.
That was
which is
another
like
one.
big ensemble cast movie. That's probably like the better version of this film. That actually, I saw it in the theater and I had trouble like touching the handle on the urinal after I left. It was such a movie that kind of hit me. But Outbreak is like sort of the lesser form of that. But I for what it was, I enjoyed the film. And then we get to the next masterpiece in his movie career, Seven.
Oh yeah.
Which I also
What's in the box?
Which I also rewatched recently.
So he did back-to-back movies with Kevin
This
Spacey.
is a great, yeah.
It's a great movie. David Fincher classic. Very atmospheric. I know we talked about it before that they had originally offered the role to Denzel and he turned it down. And then after watching Morgan Freeman in the film, he was like, wow, shit. You know, he could have been in that movie. I love the interplay between him and Brad Pitt in the film is great. There's like the mentor mentee. I always get a kick out of the scene where they're in the waiting room waiting for something, and then they cut away and cut back, and the two of them are sleeping on top of it, like Brad Pitt's got like his head on his shoulder, and they're out cold. And if it wasn't for Morgan Freeman, I don't think Gwyneth Paltrow really would have had an important role in the film.
No,
it's kind
her
of
head wouldn't be in it.
Well, it's kind of her interplay with him that becomes the important dynamic more than her marriage to Brad Pitt, as he's like the only friendly face in the city she knows outside of her husband. Such a great film, man. Such an awesome movie. There was a subplot I remember reading about one time where they originally were going to have Morgan Freeman's character have sort of like psychic abilities or psychic powers, where he could kind of like read things at the crime scenes.
Oh, I'm glad they left that out.
Yes, I'm very glad.
So
I always like when somebody
That
comes
would
in.
kill the fucking movie.
I know. I always like when somebody comes in with a little bit of logic and it's like, nah, I think you could cut that.
Yeah. All right. We won't do that. But what do you say? What do you say at the end? The murderer ends up being this giant fucking mechanical spider that comes out of nowhere. And each of his legs is one of the deadly sins.
I like Wild Wild West. Okay.
1996, he did a film called Moll Flanders. I saw this in the theater.
I've never heard of it.
Well, my wife, who I was dating
Willingly?
at the time, I had met this is my wife when I started dating in college, and she wanted to see this, and so I went to the film, theater with her, because when you're dating, you do shit like that. And what I can tell you is,
after you're married, you give that shit up.
What I remember about it is it was a movie, and it was about a couple hours long. That's about all I remember of the film.
Robin White, Morgan Freeman, and Stockard Channing.
Mm-hmm. I remember it was based on like a Victorian novel, which is probably why I don't remember anything about it, because I'm pretty sure I skipped every class I had when I took Victorian literature in my English major. 1996, he does a film called Chain Reaction with God's gift to acting, Keanu Reeves.
Oh God.
It's another sort of
Don't know
like oh, you'll like this. You should see this one, Mike. Rachel Weisz is in it.
Ooh.
You got Keanu Reeves, Morgan Freeman, and Rachel Weisz. It's a movie about researchers who are researching sort of like some sort of like green energy, like cold fusion thing or something. And then it turns into sort of like a treason/murder plot story. I mean, the most unbelievable part about this is that the physicist studying the green energy is Keanu Reeves.
That's quite believable.
1997, he does Kiss the Girls, where he plays Dr. Alex Cross, who is a character that is a recurring character in a number of movies and books. You said, Mike, earlier that this is a film that he actually produced.
No. Along Came a Spider, he did.
Oh, Along Came a Spider. Well, that's the same character, Dr. Alex Cross.
Same character,
Not Robert Patterson, James Patterson.
James Patterson, yeah. So Kiss the Girls is based on a James Patterson novel, starred Morgan Freeman, Carrie Elways, Ashley Judd, Brian Cox, Richard T. Jones, number of like Jeremy Piven. It was a pretty decent cast. Mina Savari. I saw this. I remember seeing it.
Oh yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, police hunting for a serial killer are helped when the victim manages to escape for the first time. And I remember it's kind of like
Judd was hot at the time.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it was like almost like Seven light.
A bit.
He does Amistad in 1997. Amistad is
it's about a slave ship, right?
It's about a slave ship. It's I feel like it's one of the lesser seen Steven Spielberg films. Stars Jaimin Hunsu, Matthew McConaughey, Anthony Hopkins, Morgan Freeman. It's about a slave revolt on a ship. So the Amistad ship, as it's coming to America with a ship full of slaves, they revolt against their slave holders and that old chestnut. He does Hard Rain in 1998. Hard Rain stars him and Christian Slater. I kind of feel like after like Shawshank and all that, like he went on the stretch of like, I'm gonna do every film they throw my way, and become one of the most like one of the most ubiquitous faces in Hollywood for a while. Then he does everybody's favorite disaster film, Deep Impact.
This is the first appearance of a black president in American cinema. Actually, I can't say that as a fact, but it's the first recognizable, believable black president.
It's the first black president I remember seeing in a film, so it could possibly be the first time they had an actor of color play the president in a film.
He could have won the actual presidency.
He probably could have won the actual presidency. This is like
he had run for
20 years before Barack won. So
yeah, he probably could have.
He plays President Beck, who we talked about in our presidents episode, as one of the presidents we would vote for.
Yeah, absolutely.
He plays Under Suspicion in 2000. Under Suspicion is another movie based on a book. It's based on a book called Brainwash, about a wealthy attorney in San Juan who comes to the police station for 10 minutes of follow-up as he questions a 12-year-old girl, as he questions somebody about finding a 12-year-old girl's body in a park. So it's another like darker film. It's him, Gene Hackman, Monica Bellucci, Thomas Jane. A movie I haven't seen in a really long time. It's like Morgan Freeman's one of those guys where like I've seen a lot of his movies, but some I haven't seen in a really long time because I'm too busy rewatching Seven, Glory, and Shawshank all the time. Then he appears on Nurse Betty. Was that a TV show or is that a movie?
No, it was a movie with is it Renee Zellweger?
Oh,
I wanna
yeah,
say she's the- you know,
I'm confusing it with Nurse Jackie.
Yes.
It was a TV show. American Masters as a narrator in 2000. And then Along Came a Spider, which is sort of a sequel to Kiss the Girls. Plays the same character, Alex Cross. High Crimes in 2002. And then he appears in The Sum of All Fears, which is a Jack Ryan film. And in this one, Ben Affleck plays Jack Ryan.
So I didn't really care for that one.
And that's why it didn't continue the series
Yeah.
of Jack Ryan. You know,
That's why they went to the Prime series with
Yeah.
with what's his face, Jim from The Office.
John
John
Krasinski. Yeah.
Then he narrates The American Experience. This is where like he starts becoming the narrator that we all know and love too, because it's like he does Shawshank and all these other narrations start coming our way. Levity in 2003. Dreamcatcher, which is a Stephen King. Woo. So that's a movie as well. That's a movie I saw.
That's a movie.
Very easily understood. No.
Easily. It's the best description I can give you. That is a film. It stars Morgan Freeman, Thomas Jane, Damian Lewis, who would go on to play in Homeland, Jason Lee, Timothy Oliphant, Tom Sizemore, Donnie Wahlberg. I mean, it's a decent cast, and it's a Stephen King story, which is why it probably didn't do so well, because it's one of those Stephen King stories where it starts out really good, and then the ending was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And then in 2003, he plays another one of my favorite roles of his, God in Bruce Almighty. Mike's not a fan of this because Jim Carrey's in it.
Yeah, I could see him playing God, but I didn't watch this movie.
Jim Carrey aside, it's a funny film. So Morgan Freeman plays God and decides to take a day off, and he gives his powers to Jim Carrey's character Bruce, and makes him like God for the day. And he kind of goes overboard with it, as you would expect from a Jim Carrey film, because he was being taught a lesson by God. And let me tell you, Morgan Freeman is an amazing God. If you got the vote for God, I'd vote for Morgan Freeman. And he does Guilty by Association. He reprises his Frederick Douglass role for the TV series Freedom, A History of the U.S. The Big Bounce in 2004, A Remarkable Promise. And then his next big, like, high-profile role is in the movie $1 Million Baby, 2004, which finally wins him his Oscar, Best Supporting Actor. He plays
that was him and Clint Eastwood again, right?
Yes, Clint Eastwood and Hilary Swank. One Best Picture, one Best Director, one Best Actress for Hilary Swank, Best Supporting Actor for Morgan Freeman. It's a really good movie. It's one of those movies that it's like so depressing that you can watch it once and say, "Well, I watched that," because it's a very depressing film. He's great in it, and he once again, aside from playing a character in the film, is also the narrator. Then he narrates a TV film called Ramses. Then he does Unleashed. Narrates March of the Penguins.
Which
and
is
boy,
actually
did they march.
Boy, did they.
It was very good.
Actually very good documentary.
It is a good documentary, March of the Penguins.
Made me want to steal a penguin.
Well, you're in Jersey. Go get one.
I have a story about that for another time. About the time a kid from my sister's daycare stole a penguin from the Camden County Aquarium. That's a song for another time. Edison in 2005. 2005, he does a little tiny independent film called Batman Begins.
Yes, very
some
small.
guy named Lucius Fox.
Some guy named Lucius Fox that apparently my friend Kevin is named after.
That's right. I am glad that they actually brought him into the Batman cinema universe. He was a very good character. I don't know whether he was created just for the animated series or whether he had appearances in the comic before that, but very good character.
Yeah, I know that there were a number of characters that were created for the series. I'm not sure if his was or not, but I'm glad that they kept the character and used it in the Nolan films because it's a character that works and becomes important, part of Bruce's life. He then narrates War of the Worlds, which one of my least favorite Spielberg films.
Except for the narration, right?
Except for the narration. He does Lucius Fox in the Batman Begins video game. He does a film called Unfinished Life, Magnificent Desolation, Slavery and the Making of America, Lucky Number 11, which is kind of like a tries very hard to be Pulp Fiction type film. 10 Items or Less in 2006, The Contract in 2006. And then he does a terrible sequel, not needed at all, Evan Almighty, where he reprises his role as God.
Old Testament God.
Old Testament God. Well, he's still the best part of the film. Not 2007. He does Gone Baby Gone. Either of you guys seen Gone Baby Gone?
I have not.
It stars Casey Affleck.
Casey Affleck,
and is directed by Ben Affleck. It's a really good movie, really dark, and he kind of plays sort of against type in the film for the kind of characters you're used to seeing him in. He's it's a really, really good movie. But again, it's one of those like, all right, I saw that. I don't know if I need to be depressed again. Feast of Love.
Affleck's and
2007, he does a comedy film co-starring Jack Nicholson called The Bucket List.
Oh, that's a good one.
I like The Bucket. Yeah, I like The Bucket List. I don't think it's a great film. But it's an entertaining film. It has moments that make me, enjoy it. He narrates the TV movie version of A Raisin in the Sun.
I'm reading this with my class right now.
Yes, if you want to watch this film, it stars Sean Puffy Combs.
Ooh.
And Felicia Rashad.
I'd watch it for Felicia Rashad.
That's a
She was one of my television mothers growing up.
Yeah, right. Then he was in Wanted with Angelina Jolie and what's his face? James McAvoy. About the guy that can curve a bullet.
Yes.
He then reprises the Lucius Fox role in one of the best comic book films ever made. Because it's not really a comic book film when you look at it. The Dark Knight.
No. The Dark Knight.
Amazing job.
I mean, again, it's such a almost perfect movie. And I love his whole thing at the end with the sometimes you have to restore people's faith in humanity, and while he's
that was where he butted with
Bruce, and he's like, if this machine is here, I won't be. So
right.
That's a great scene at the end. 2009, he does The Code, then The Maiden Heist, and then Invictus, where he plays Nelson Mandela, a role that I think he was born to play, and can't believe it took that long for him to play.
Yeah. Well, they were waiting out to see if they could get the actual Nelson Mandela.
Really?
I heard he wanted to.
If they ever wanted to do a movie about Morgan Freeman, they could hire Nelson Mandela. He does.
But I think he can do the voice.
Narrates the TV series 30 for 30 on ESPN. Then he does a movie called Red. It's another movie with Bruce Willis.
Aging Assassins.
About aging assassins. It's actually an entertaining film. It's pretty fun film. It's not a great film, but it's carried on the back of its leads, who are all awesome. It's Morgan Freeman, Bruce Willis,
John Malkovich,
Helen Mirren, and John Malkovich. So it's like a great cast. He narrates the film Conan the Barbarian, which is the reboot film with Jason Momoa. I didn't
even know they rebooted it.
Yeah, I hadn't seen it because I didn't believe that it needed to be rebooted. And I didn't know who Jason Momoa was at the time anyway. This is like pre-Game of Thrones. And I didn't even know he narrated it. And then he's in A Dolphin Tale. This is where he starts getting into that realm of like, I'll be in a movie that does really well, but I'm also going to star in every fucking movie they throw my way at the same time.
Yeah, this is where they put the prosthetic on a dolphin. I remember that one. Yeah, I did see that.
Then he
I
does
think that
Dark
was
Knight
an AJ
Rises, his last time playing the role of Lucius Fox. I like how in The Dark Knight Rises, he's credited as playing Fox, not Lucius Fox. It just says Fox. Olympus Has Fallen, which is the movie that I always confuse with White House Down.
White House Down.
It's basically the same film.
Yes, but this one had a trilogy going for it.
Yeah, was it Olympus Has Fallen, London Has Fallen, and Angel Has Fallen.
Oh, yep.
Then he does Oblivion with Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise.
It's actually a decent film.
I like it.
It's not quite a Tom Cruise type Tom Cruise film.
No.
Then he does one of Kevin's favorite films, Now You See Me.
Now You See Me.
I like this movie. I quite enjoyed this movie.
Despite the implausible twist ending.
Yeah.
Like
well, I mean, if you're
there's no
look at the
logic
ending of
behind
the
that
film
twist
and judge it.
Listen, I like magic. I like the actors in the film. I like a film about magic with actors that I like being the magicians. I don't like illogical twists. Then he does the voice. I'm sorry, I skipped one. Las Vegas, which is it's an old guy movie.
Aging, where are we at? Aging Heist.
Aging Heist. They go to Las Vegas for like one last thrill.
Score,
and it's Michael Douglas, De Niro, Freeman, and Kevin Kline playing the old guys. I haven't seen this one though. I remember seeing the trailers for it when it came out. He does the voice of Vitruvius in the Lego Movie, which is essentially God.
Pretty much, yeah.
Transcendence with Johnny Depp.
Another good one.
Yeah, The Wish Wizard in 2014, which is a short film. He does a really weird action film with Scarlett Johansson in 2014 called Lucy. She's a drug mule carrying like balloons full of drugs in her stomach, and somehow or another the balloons burst, and the drugs that she's carrying it affects her body chemistry and her brain so that she becomes super smart, and then to start able to start using parts of her brain that were dormant, like things that like make her telepathic and all that shit. Fucking weird. Weird movie. And he plays like a professor character who she befriends and who kind of helps her along the way. 5 Flights Up, Dolphin Tale 2. Look, they did a sequel to the film about the dolphin with the prosthetic mic.
Yeah, I see that.
The Mona Lisa Myth, Last Nights, Ted 2. I forgot he was in Ted 2. He's, I think he's the lawyer that they try to hire or something in the film, or he's the judge or something like that. But I know he has something to do with the court case that's in that movie. Momentum, which I haven't heard of. London Has Fallen, where he went from being Speaker of the House to Vice President in London Has Fallen. He upgraded. Now You See Me Too.
Didn't see that one.
All I know is that Harry Potter's in that one.
This should have been called Now You See Me Again. You really should have. I mean, they blew it up.
Now You See Me TOO. Like Teen Wolf 2, TOO. Then he is in the reboot of Ben-Hur. Mike, did you know there was a reboot of Ben-Hur?
I did not. Did you?
I did. I didn't say it because I hated the first fucking Ben-Hur. I'm one of the few people I know who didn't like Ben-Hur. So, going in style, Madam Secretary, which we saw earlier, he actually directed a few of these episodes that he guest starred in. Just Getting Started in 2017, Alpha in 2018. Brian Banks, never heard of it. The Nutcracker in the Four Realms, I heard of that, didn't see it.
Didn't see it either.
The Poison Rose. Angel Has Fallen, where he's now president.
He's moving up.
Moving on up.
Look,
So
man,
he's,
if you can survive the other 2 instances, you've got to be put up as president.
Yeah, right. And then it's a whole series of like guest appearances and narrations at this point, including narrating the table read for the 30th anniversary of Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
He plays Spicoli.
Yes. Actually, it's the 40th anniversary. I'm sorry.
Hey, you almost missed his biggest role. He was with Scooby-Doo.
I know. He plays himself in Scooby-Doo Guess Who?
I guess we better go looking for clues.
Then he does the comeback trail. Then he plays himself again in Coming to America, the sequel to Coming to America.
Jinkies, I lost my glasses.
Vanquish,
Somebody help me find
Solos.
my
This is where he
glasses.
starts doing a whole series of like films that are like straight to like, whatever. Then he does the Comiskey Method, which is a series on Netflix. The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard, which is the sequel to The Hitman's Bodyguard. Paradise Highway, The Minute You Wake Up Dead, and Metro Boomin' Villains and Heroes. And now he has 6 films upcoming for 2023. A movie called 57 Seconds, another one called Sniff, Hate to See You Go, Lioness, A Good Person, and late 2023, The Ritual Killer. So the man has done his fair share of films. He has 141 completed credits and 6 on the way. So we had already talked a little bit about his awards. He is a 5-time Oscar nominee and a 1-time winner. So he was Best Supporting Actor for Street Smart in 1988, Best Actor for Driving Miss Daisy in 1990, Best Actor for Shawshank in 95. He won the Best Performance by an Actor in a Supporting Role for $1 Million Baby in 2005, and then was nominated again for Best Performance by an Actor in a Leading Role for Invictus, the movie where he plays, who did I say he play? What's his face? The president of South Africa.
The president, yeah.
Nelson Mandela. There we go.
Yeah.
That's the one where he was nominated for that. He's been nominated for a slew of Emmys, of Golden Globes, Sci-Fi, Fantasy Awards. I mean, you name it.
He was nominated 3 times for Primetime Emmy nominations. All for 2 of them for narrator, and he still hasn't won for narrator. With that voice, he hasn't won an Oscar or anything for narration.
You would think he'd win something for narration. He has 83 total nominations in his career and 66 total wins.
Yeah, but he's got to go up against Richard Attenborough. I mean, come on.
And if it's not Richard Attenborough, it's the other Attenborough. It's like
Dominic Attenborough?
Yeah.
Skippy Attenborough?
Skippy Attenborough. He is number 31 in Empire Magazine's top 100 movie stars of all time. I'm looking for some he's the father of Alfonso Freeman, who has actually made an appearance in a couple of his films. He is in Shawshank Redemption. He's the guy at the beginning of the film when they're bringing in Andy Dufresne and the other prisoners going, "Reel him in, fresh fish, reel him in." That's his son, Alfonso.
No, I thought his son was the one who was in the mugshot.
He is. He's also the guy in the mugshot playing young Ellis Redding. And he's also in The Bucket List. He plays his son in the film. That's his son, Alfonso. He has the Hollywood Outstanding Achievement in Acting Award that he got on August 7th, 2000. He considered joining the Air Force to become a fighter pilot, but opted to stay with his acting career instead.
Well, here it says he worked as a mechanic in the U.S. Air Force.
He was a mechanic in the U.S. Air Force, but he basically finished his tour and then went into acting, but had thought about becoming a pilot, which he did become at the age of 65 when he earned his private pilot license. He was in the Broadway musical Hello, Dolly. Starred in 2 Stephen King adaptations in his career, Dreamcatcher and The Shawshank Redemption. That is definitely like 2 sides of a different coin. So
I like that he was friends with Kenny Chesney.
Here's one with you, though.
What's that, Mike?
During an interview with Charlie Rose regarding the 10th anniversary of the Shawshank Redemption, Freeman said he regarded that film glory Driving Miss Daisy and Unforgiven as the highlights of his career.
I know. He didn't say Seven or Shawshank. Because they're the highlights according to me. Often referred to as the greatest living actor in film, a title he humbly waves off and says he's just lucky. Let's see here. In 2000, this is funny. In May 2005, he won the right to the internet domain name www.morganfreeman.com, which was owned by another company.
Most of the characters he's played are not written specifically for an African American actor.
Like Red in Shawshank Redemption, who was Irish in the book, which is why they kept the line. Maybe it's because I'm Irish in the film, because it was meant, for his character, it was an ironic line. He has a trademark on his name with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. So Morgan Freeman is a trademark name. So technically, he should be signing his name Morgan Freeman with the little C in the circle.
Is the only African American actor to appear in 3 Best Picture Oscar winners.
Wow.
Driving Miss Daisy, Unforgiven, and $1 Million Baby.
The longest he has gone without an Oscar nomination is 10 years between Shawshank and $1 Million Baby, which he actually won for. His favorite films are 1933's King Kong and 1952 Moulin Rouge. And he received his star on the Walk of Fame in March 18th of 2003. So that's just a few things about him. I'm not going to get into too much more. But let's end with this. This is my hypothetical question for this evening. What movie should he be most remembered for? So before I get your answers to that question, gentlemen, I asked this question of our Twitter followers. I wrote, the question I gave them was, we're recording our episode 95 this Thursday, a look at Morgan Freeman's career. In your opinion, what movie should he be most remembered for? And the choices were Shawshank Redemption, Seven, $1 Million Baby, or Other. And if you choose Other, please post in the comments. So Ken at Mr. Gentleman Podcast wrote Lean on Me for his choice. And at Sean Beach 78 said Glory. But then as far as the votes went, it was 15% for Other, 0 for $1 Million Baby. I should have probably put Unforgiven in there instead. I think that's one he would have been more remembered for. 20% said Seven, and 65% said he should be remembered for the Shawshank Redemption. So what would you say?
Yeah, I would say Shawshank. It's either Shawshank or Seven. And I think his performance in Shawshank outweighs that of Seven. Seven, he did a really good job in, but I think there was just more character to him in Shawshank.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Shawshank because I've already stated that it's my favorite film. So I would actually say 1 Shawshank, 2 Seven, 3 Unforgiven, 4 Glory, and 5
Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Bruce Almighty.
No.
No, I don't know.
He didn't even
I don't
name
know
one.
if
I'm
Bruce
gonna bring you
Almighty or maybe Lucius Fox in The Dark Knight or something.
That's right.
I'm not a big.
Every time I think of him,
Yeah.
I always go back to Driving Miss Daisy. That's the movie I know comes to mind.
Yeah. Nobody said Easy Reader in the Electric Company.
You didn't even put mine in your top 5, so
I'm not a big fan of Driving Miss Daisy. I mean, I do associate him with it, because it's one of those ones. And like that, and like you said, Lean on Me are probably the 2 movies that were his breakout roles. So
yeah, those were his breakout roles.
So, Mike, do you have any beer trivia or beer history for us this evening?
I got some beer history for you guys. Many early cultures embraced beer as a vital part of their civilizations, including the Chinese, the Incan, the Babylonian, and the Egyptian peoples. Beer was used to commemorate births, deaths, marriages, coronations, harvests, festivals, and the rites of passages. Beer. Good.
Is that also your revisiting drink comment there, Mike? Beer good?
Beer good. Oh, it's a German Oktoberfest. How you go wrong with that?
Yeah, I like Spaten beers. Spaten beers are usually pretty good. Kev, what did you think
Yeah.
of your spotting?
My spotting was very good, and my Franziskaner Weiss beer was good too.
The Weiss beer.
Weiss beer.
And if you are into coffee liqueur cocktails, I highly recommend the Captain Morgan Freeman, which, as I said, is Irish cream, coffee liqueur, and rum. It is very, very tasty, and really helped me get through this episode because my throat was kind of dry. So, thank you, then, everybody, for joining us tonight for episode 95. We hope you enjoyed listening to the podcast as much as we enjoyed recording it for you. This was episode 95, The Career of Morgan Freeman. Don't forget, you can drop us a line at filmsandfermentation@gmail.com or visit linktree.com/filmsandfermentation for all of our social media and podcast links. Also, make sure you check out All Hallows Eve podcast for their horror movie brackets all this month as they lead up to their final episode in the month, which is going to be guest starring your favorite drunk film commentators.
We'll probably be sober for that episode, guys.
Possibly.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, we'll see. We're hanging out that day, so who knows? Don't forget to stop by the crossroads between pickled and fermented next week for episode 96. This is a good follow-up episode because since we did Morgan Freeman tonight, the episode following this one, episode 96, is going to be the best narrations in film. I'm Leah.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Mike.
Thanks again for joining us tonight, folks. Cheers.
Cheers.
Please sit down. Ellis Boyd Redding, your files say you've served 40 years of a life sentence. You feel you've been rehabilitated?
Rehabilitated? Well, now, let me see. You know, I don't have any idea what that means.
Well, it means you're ready to rejoin society.
I know what you think it means, Sonny. To me, it's just a made-up word. A politician's word, so that young fellas like yourself can wear a suit and a tie and have a job. What do you really want to know? Am I sorry for what I did? Well, I am. There's not a day goes by I don't feel regret. Not because I'm in here, because you think I should. I look back on the way I was then. A young, stupid kid who committed that terrible crime. I want to talk to him. I want to try to talk some sense to him. Tell him the way things are. But I can't. That kid's long gone, and this old man is all that's left. I gotta live with that. Rehabilitated. It's just a bullshit word. So you go on and stamp your form, Sonny, and stop wasting my time. Because to tell you the truth, I don't give a shit.
Gentlemen,
Yeah.
I am the savior of films.
The savior of films?
I am the savior of films.
How's that?
Because the Chamonix Mall, AMC, had a CO2 leak and they pulled their fire station, broke it to get people out, but broke it, so they had to wait till somebody came out to fix that to run movies because it shut down all their projectors.
Oh wow!
So you were the guy to fix it?
They
I'll
give
fix
you they give you a $5 pass on the movie.
Yeah.
No.
Free coupon for a free
Coupon for free popcorn.
free small popcorn, not a big one, the small one.
You also
And you
get
have to buy a drink.
Free icy, but no refill. I'm ready when you guys are.
He played Spoldecki's understudy.
Spinelli.
Spinelli. I was close.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
He was the stand-in for Phoebe Cates when she came out of the swimming pool.
No.
I'm just here to make sure they got the lighting right.
I think he's freezing himself.
Yeah.
He's doing a very good impression of a statue. Way to go, Mike. Good job.
So you guys didn't hear any of that?
Nope.
Hear what?
Oh, no. What the hell?
Oh, no.
If you're talking about the big shout out we got on All Hallows Eve this week, I heard it already.
Yeah, no. I have a soundboard up. I guess it's just not coming through. Well, that
Did you
sucks.
try turning it off and turning it back on again?
Yes. I hear it through my headphones. I don't know what's going on. Wait a minute, baby.
Bless you.
Well, shit.
Was it Morgan Freeman based?
Yes, it was him talking to the parole board. I know what it means to be funny.
Me, it's just a made up word. Politician's word. A fellow like you can wear a tie and have a job.
Exactly.
Me, it's just a bullshit word. Go ahead and sign your forms and stop wasting my time.
Stop wasting my time.
I just watched it last night for the 987th time.
Oh, wow.
I could do it for you. You don't need that.
Stop. I thought it'd just be funny. I could just throw little clips in every so often. Like, thanks for
I'm
your
probably going to
concern.
do a little, oh shit. I'm probably going to do something like I did with the Robin Williams episode anyway and add some YouTube clips in there. So that's all stuff for tomorrow.
The Joker came to Arkham Asylum in the summer of '09. I know as much because I remember thinking,
yeah,
the whitest son of a bitch I have ever.
I mean, it's a blue screen playing, but oh, there we go.
I see it.
That is the whitest son of a bitch I've ever seen.
Doesn't he he crawls out through the tunnel at the end like Andy does, and
Yeah, he's like, I remember that being the equivalent of 6 ping pong tables. Then again, not very good with the math.
He had a funny way about him. Not ha-ha funny, more stab funny.